There's like a couple tones. There's a low, no low on the high note.
The stream has started. It says an error has occurred.
Of course.
Thanks,
I
Octa.
was no, it's not. I feel like watch the minute one.
Oh, hey Jared, you're on.
Hey, neat. Oh, it's live?
It's like 20 seconds delayed.
Where can I find this?
NextHop.network/live.
Oh, see, we don't even have that.
Nothing we have
You guys
really
are
works
slow.
better than us.
The dev site has it, not the dev.
When is that going into production, Jesse?
I was told that was like a week.
Is there a NextHop jobs page?
Yeah, they have that devs.
How do we apply for it?
Well, I don't want to push it to production. Oh, it's a YouTube stream. Everyone to migrate or merging up there.
I'm gonna buy NextHop.
What?
It's still all starting. No man, this is the way to go.
This is YouTube
I
live.
just want to be able to
YouTube
slide
live
in
thing.
from my phone.
Oh, I don't get an introduction.
Oh.
Okay, no, I'm just being a dick.
You have your name up there, don't you?
Nope, sure don't.
Who is this
So, I'm Jared, grad student, CSEC major. We're going to talk a little bit about Docker and CoreOS tonight, and also Terraform by Sean. So, what is Docker? Who's heard of this crazy thing that's out there in the wide web today? Does anyone want to take a stab at some of the cool things it can do? That's cool too. Yeah, you can. You contain things, and then there's other ways to manage your containers, and you can even contain your containers and how you manage the containers that contain containers. It's gonna get really fucking confusing. So, in a nutshell, Docker is an open source containerization engine. So, what are containers? It's a way to run a process, application, a thing, in an isolated environment. Maybe it's separate from the whole operating system, just from networking utilities, whatever the case may be. You're putting something in a box and making sure that only certain things can talk to the thing in that box. Is anyone here familiar with LXC? So LXC was containerization, or still is containerization. I think it's LXD now is the more popular one for Ubuntu. But Docker originally used this. It was like, nah, bro, this thing sucks. And then they went and implemented their own engine, which I believe is written in Go. A lot of Docker and CoreOS things are all about the Go lifestyle. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes, probably.
So they white knighted it.
Yeah, they're like, this Go thing's pretty jazzy. We're gonna go with it. So, common question, like right off the bat, is like, hey, like VMs do this. Why not run VirtualBox VMware or some other thing here and just have separation overall? Like separate everything into its own VM or whatever have you. So right off the bat, it's because it's more than you most likely need. Like, can someone give me an example of something that they usually do in a VM?
Check Facebook.
That's weird.
Malware analysis.
Okay, that's like super like the edge case for why you want to use Docker. So let's say developers. Let's say like people on this floor.
iTunes? I don't get it.
All right. So VM. So let's go off with Jesse's thing, right? So malware analysis. Obviously, you don't want to do that on your host machine, right? You don't want Locky or whatever dank malware you have running wild on your host machine. You want to contain that. But also for development reasons, has anyone here ever developed in Node.js? Okay, so in Node.js and Python or whatever language you want, if you start installing all these libraries, it's really easy to get your development environment really messy, right? You can install all these external dependencies, and you got some shit over here, and you got some shit over here, and then by the end of the day, you're like, I have like a hello world application that barely works, but I have like 30 dependencies installed.
Use virtual environments.
Okay, so that's Python. Cool, neat. So, with Docker, you can just run everything in a nice container, and you can know that that is your safe space for that application, and all those dependencies and all those nice things will fit in this nice safe space. Additionally, VMs are completely separated operating systems, right? So you actually have the kernel with containers. Yeah, you just get process level isolation. So containers are going to share the same core things on the operating system, whether that be the same like home directories, same binaries, same libraries. It's all going to come back to sharing the same things at the operating system level. So, really cool thing about Docker, which makes it super fast when you download it. It has this thing called a layered file system. Specifically, the implementation of it is the AUFS, another union file system based off union file system, another union file system. It's a complete rewrite. Hey, go for Wikipedia for history about that. So basically, the way that this works is if you had multiple file systems, say like /home with some stuff in there, /bin with stuff in there, and /lib, and I realize I'm right in front of this. /lib, say these were all in like 3 different like file systems. This union file system is just gonna mount it in like /stuff. So then you go in /stuff, and then all of these are separate layers coming to one. Think of these as like things you'd use to make a sandwich. Separate, they are their own ingredients. This is the sandwich.
Oh.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
That just made it so much more clear.
So
Tastes as good?
when you
when you go into /stuff, do you still go /stuff /home like?
yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
way?
yeah. The hierarchy level of it is still laid out. Yes.
Do you do hard links in /stuff?
I don't know. That is an awesome question. So when we pull images later, you'll actually see the file system get downloaded in the different layers. So, Docker Engine. This is where we start down the road of different ways to manage your containers. So, Docker Engine is a daemon that allows for interactions with the Docker application to run multiple containers. So you can expose this daemon onto your network, and then you can remotely administer your daemon. So if all of you are hosts that had a Docker daemon engine exposed, I could then connect to all of you and be like, yo, download this application and run it in a Docker container. So that is one of a few different ways we're going to talk about in a minute here to manage Docker containers. But Docker Engine, at the end of the day, is just going to provide the API so that way you can do Docker commands. So, why would you want to use Docker? I think we kind of just talked about this. You keep process in a safe space for isolation. You can keep your development environment from being super messy. Deploy redundant web applications, so that way instead of doing like a full like LAMP stack like on a host, you can just be like, well, you know, I'm just going to share out, say, the MySQL database on the host machine, but I'll have this content running in a separate process in the Docker container. This is also going off the new trend of microservices and other buzzwords that we're going to bring up, where software as a service, you offer some kind of particular service in a containerized environment, and that is the one thing that it does very well. So, use cases for Docker. So once again, this kind of goes back to the development methodology, because this is what they originally were made for. So this whole like, it worked on my machine, I don't know why the shit doesn't work on yours. Probably because their development environment isn't a mess like yours is, and you have all these things widespread. You can literally just grab this Docker container and run it. But Jared, why not VMs? Great fucking question, Tyler. Killing it out there. First and foremost, this shit's super lightweight. What does that mean? Layered file systems. And you're going to see how fast this is to search, download, and start a Docker container. And you can do that in the time that it would take you to zip up a VM and like start sending it to me via Google Drive or whatever janky way we're going to send it to each other. Because Google Drive is the go-to for some reason. So another thing that's similar to this but goes off of the full containerization method is Vagrant. Has anyone here played with Vagrant? So
isn't that kind of like the test bed for this or something like that? I think I read a little bit about it.
So the biggest difference is that Vagrant actually like downloads a VM to do this. So if you were like, I have to run this, if Jesse's like, Jared, I got this dank malware analysis environment, like all the tools are there, all the libraries are there, I want you to have it, but I don't want to send it to Google Drive. You can give me the Vagrant equivalent of the build file, it escapes me what it's called now, and I can pull it from a registry, which is kind of like a GitHub for hosting these Vagrant files, and then I can spin that up. Docker has something similar called Docker Hub, which we're actually going to explore in a minute together, go on that adventure. But the biggest difference is going to be Vagrant is a little bit heavier, so to speak, and it's like full-blown VM. So, what a coincidence, perfect timing for this. So Docker Registry is kind of like a Git lab, so it's like in-house, like, hey, we are RIT organization, and we have specific RIT applications like Paul Prince, right? So instead of running something like from Docker Hub, which is externally hosted, we'll just host this repo that other people can pull whatever container that we have for like a web app or other microservice that we may offer. Docker Hub, similar idea, but it's publicly facing, and you can download a bunch of super neat things that I'm going to pull up on the screen right now. So you can download popular applications or popular DevOps environments. So I was saying Node.js earlier. You can just be like, I need like a Node environment. I don't want to pollute my base operating system. Well, you can containerize that. You can download Debian environments, MySQL environments, MongoDB environments, a lot of other stuff up there you see. Definitely worth checking out, and it makes it really fast to play with new technology without worrying about setting up everything on your box. Because you can be like, I don't want to spin up a new VM to play with like a Postgres instance for whatever reason you're doing that. So you just pull down a container and you instantly have access to Postgres. So, Docker demo, 0 to 100 real quick.
Kinda quick.
Yeah. Oh no.
Cause the stream.
This looks terrible.
His prawns are about to come up.
Uh-oh. Okay. Can everyone see this? Is this a comfortable viewing thing? Okay, cool. So you can do... fuck it. Okay, so if you're like, hey, I want to see latest Ubuntu images, you can do Docker search Ubuntu, and it's going to spit out a bunch of stuff at you. So here's where things get a little weird. So on the Docker Hub, right, other people can be like, yo, I've got an Ubuntu image, use mine. It's pretty dank. And you can be like, yeah, I'm going to download that. And what might be some problems with this?
Security.
Yeah,
What do you mean by security? Student?
Well, so to quote someone who listened to this earlier today, if you don't control your own boxes, then you're already in them.
Excellent. So,
but it's a container, right? So whatever.
yeah, so that actually brings me to an awesome point. So thank you for saying that. Docker has to run as root, the daemon does. And this, so if
That
you...
seems fine.
Really see the problem.
Everything's fine over here. The world is burning all
So, if you have some kind of crazy Docker escalation vulnerability, well, you're already running as root. So if you can break out of the container or run commands as this daemon, you're root, you win. Congratulations. Like, yeah, just like Matt Damon. There's actually benchmarks and like a whole bunch of utilities that if you're like, hey, I really need to use this weird container that I found on like a .ru domain, you can run this. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You can run these tools against it to like profile it for like basic security practices. So you can see what is getting shared if it's trying to mount other file systems from the computer or what it's trying to do. So that kind of gives you like somewhat level of comfort of like a baseline, but at the end of the day, you should probably just be pulling from trusted repositories. So if I do this again,
This is awesome. I just found out Docker has versions of mod security.
What's that?
got him.
Disappointed.
So
Failing that makes
you see here, like there's like the baseline Ubuntu, like Ubuntu is Debian-based Linux operating system, and over here where you can't see, I think it says something like this is like a trusted repo or something to that effect. What?
I'm just talking to him.
Okay. So going back to like some sketchy things, there's like just like this random like, hey, it's remix version of Ubuntu. Like this may not be like the most trusted thing to go and download.
Can we use that one for the live demo?
No.
Gotta remix it.
Another thing that I want to point out: if you're trying to run Docker on Mac or Windows, you have to install a bunch of really dumb stuff to get it to work with the Docker engine that can then run containers. So there's that like boot to Docker, but then there's also this weird thing. It's just like, hey, I need to install VirtualBox to download. So like right there, it's like you're defeating the whole purpose.
Unless you're running Mac OS X Docker.
I don't even know if those exist. Do those exist?
Coreless.
What are you saying is Linux is better?
Just run a VM off CoreOS. It's
Is that said?
We're not there yet. No one knows what that is yet.
It was in your slide title.
Oh, excellent.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff. Yeah, so OS X friendly document Docker image with run. Nice thing.
Is there any support for any Windows applications in Docker?
Like, can you run Docker on Windows?
Well, can you run like IIS in a Docker container?
You can run
There's
MS
Windows
SQL
core.
probably.
Right, because they
Made it
put
for
it for
Linux.
Linux. But I'm curious about like something that's like pure Windows.
Microsoft's doing that.
Yeah, they do have that in like their Azure cloud or whatever.
Well, it's
yeah.
Windows Nano, which is like
Yeah.
1 gig part.
Well, yeah, that's like their super small
I
version
just
of
talk
like
around
their
Linux.
Windows server, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also Windows 95, which requires 396 megs.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I guess what I'm curious about is cross-platform support, Jared.
Cool.
Well, that doesn't answer.
I don't play with Windows. I don't know.
Like five floppy.
So we're gonna live poll this, and as we can see,
There's no progress bar?
no. Wait, Bruce. Oh, I already downloaded this earlier.
Fedora. If you put the Ubuntu Unix one, it would
yeah.
I think we went
I should have done the Ubuntu
Curious what is
remix.
remixed.
I don't
Look,
know.
progress bars.
Okay, so this is
Sandwich.
That's enough.
Yes, this is the part of the sandwich. So this is downloading the ingredients that's going to make the unit file system for the whole sandwich. So I really hope that this isn't like super bloated and super large. Because we're
The
doing
size is on screen right now.
Okay, excellent. So now I've just downloaded Fedora userland image. So if I can spell, and I do Docker images, it's like, hey, Jared, here's some base images that you have here. I got Fedora, I got Ubuntu, and it says the last time it was created. This doesn't mean created on my machine. This means created in the Docker hub that I just pulled it from. So you can see kind of like maintenance windows or like latest releases, so to speak, for these things. So I want to interact with my Docker container. So I'm going to do Docker run -t for sudo terminal -I for interact. And I'm going to say Ubuntu, and then I want to give me a bash shell. Boom. I'm in the Docker container. So right off the bat, you're going to notice that Vim's not there. I'm a big Vim user. I want them. So I'm going to install them. Oh, I don't need sudo. Git install them.
This seems wrong. Installing packages in Docker
Yeah.
seems wrong.
Okay, so I'm doing this to demonstrate how you like save changes. So if you did like Docker, you search Ubuntu -vim, maybe you'd see one with already Vim in it. Yeah, for like a very specific image. So now we see we have Vim. This is great. And when I exit out, I have to list the images that are just executed. Because right now, if I do that Docker run Ubuntu again, that doesn't save what I just did. So if you keep it doesn't keep changes persistence, right? So this is going to add an additional layer to what we downloaded earlier from Ubuntu. So the way that you save the changes is kind of similar to revision control with Git, if anyone here is familiar with that, which hopefully you all are. So you do Docker commit, and I really want to move this part back on screen so you can see. So, names. So Docker has a unique naming convention for all the containers that it runs, and it generates it by either, it's like an adjective or a verb, and then a famous scientist, I believe, is the schema for this. So, that's just, it's in the documentation. So for no particular reason, that's just how they do the naming schemes, right? So I can save nostalgic Da Vinci. Oh no.
How do you qualify a famous scientist? Is there a list?
Read the documentation.
If someone else has heard of it,
Yeah, we should hack Docker just to put our names on the generation list.
So, so I can like Docker commit this nostalgic Da Vinci dude, and then I have to give it a tag to name it like my custom thing. So I'm just gonna be like Jared Dank Vim. And now if I do Docker images again, we'll see, hey, Jared's Dank Vim. This was created 3 seconds ago and has a unique image ID. And we can see that there is a discrepancy in Vim being installed in this image. So now, if you go and run this again, Jared's got Dank Vim. Woo! I'm really glad that nothing like super failed on that demo. So, Oh, this is amazing. Okay, cool.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Does that mean that anybody could download that dank Vim image and now could run Vim on their system?
Great question. Were you done? Okay, sorry. I thought I interrupted you.
Yeah, so it could be Vim or any other application, right?
Yeah. So right now, that dank Vim just exists on my machine. But if I pushed it up to the repo, anyone can download dank Vim. However, this whole trust thing just kind of comes off of like you know me from like right here. But like if we downloaded that weird Ubuntu remix thing, I have no idea the modifications that could have been made prior. So the other way I should mention that you can do this is something with Docker build files, where you just like list out, you're like, hey, I want the Ubuntu image, I want you to install Vim, I want you to mount this part of the file system, and I want you to download this thing from this repo. You can all define that, and then run docker build, and then the file, and it'll actually create that image from you from scratch. So that way, if you're like, hey, I want what you have, so like, I want the mod security thing, but I might want different rules, or I want different operating system. Like I don't want it to run on Fedora, I want it to run on Ubuntu, or whatever the case may be. You could create a build file to basically simulate that, or ask someone for the build file. But at the end of the day, Jesse and I were actually talking about this. Honestly, if the image is already up there, like your incentive to have the build file kind of goes away. Unless it's like an untrusted party kind of thing. Yeah, hi.
So I was looking online at this hub.docker, also known as Docker Hub.
Okay.
And there's a number of individuals who posted stuff in interesting ways, and they have GitHubs associated with all this stuff, which is nice.
Nice.
Do we typically find that people post, or let's say, I won't say people, I'll say projects, post their own Docker images? So let's say you're running, I don't know, what's a popular project? WordPress. Well, WordPress is a weird popular project, but let's say WordPress. You find that WordPress posts their own Docker image?
Oh, like WordPress like proper?
Yeah. WordPress posts.
I think WordPress specifically does, yeah, because I know MongoDB, they host their own, and I know Node does. That's why I was talking about that earlier. But like as far as like who's like the official maintainer, is that like what you're asking?
Yeah, like if I looked on one of these, like there's like 10 of, let's say,
Sure.
if I typed in WordPress, there'd be like 100.
Sure. So
there'd be one that's like WordPress Docker.
So actually, it's awesome that you say
I
that.
guess I could have just looked this up.
Nope, that's fine. Because you see this like official tagline.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how you get that said official tagline, but that's like this is trusted. This is from WordPress proper. This isn't from like Luke's sketchy home lab.
Cool. Well, I guess I'll report on how to get that official.
Yeah.
David wants one.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So if you were to upload, Jared's dank Vim to
Yeah.
the official repositories,
Yep.
is it up to you to glean any personal information out of there, or is it?
Yeah. There's no. It's just like GitHub. You get one private repo for free, which is a cool thing that GitHub doesn't do. I mean, if you're a student, you get like 5 for free.
Yeah.
But by default, regardless of who you are, everyone gets one free private repo, and then all of the rest are have to be public. So at this point, you're probably like, okay, this is pretty dank, but I need to manage like thousands of Docker images. Well, CoreOS. So this is literally an operating system for containers. How many people have played with CoreOS? Awesome. What's everyone's experience been with CoreOS?
It's a little frustrating to set up.
Yeah, there's no package manager.
Yeah.
Everything runs in Docker. There is no apt-gets. There is no anything. Everything's Docker. So we're going to talk about some of CoreOS's like critical services, and that's their logo.
That's a pretty shitty one.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Also, it's
But
important.
it's a core.
There's no interface.
There's a center thing. I could have made that.
There's a core, but like if they somehow have the letter C in that core, that would be
Yeah.
better.
You just went straight like crust mantle core. Like there's no inner outer mantle. It's completely geographically incorrect.
I mean, it's also like not shaded, so it's a little bit like painful.
So everyone taking the logo, understand the faults of the logo. Okay, so
I thought that was the main takeaway of the talk.
yeah, no, yeah, like logos. So etcd is this distributed key value store used by all machines in a CoreOS cluster. So you specify this head that you're like, hey CoreOS, you're going to be the responsible one that manages all these other CoreOS instances. So right off the bat, you are committing to running a CoreOS infrastructure. Now, why might this be kind of a bad thing?
Security.
Go on. Alright, so I was going to go with CoreOS is like super new, and a lot of their stuff is in beta or alpha stages, and I do think that they provide some kind of paid support, but you might feel more comfortable if you are like running critical services that you are comfortable with putting in a Docker image if you're running on something like Red Hat, right? Because you can pay for that support, you can have some kind of long-term support there, like, you know, there's good documentation. This is where you might want to use something like Docker Engine with Docker Compose, because you can just expose Docker to your infrastructure and be like, hey, I'm going to connect to this machine remotely and then run a bunch of Docker images on there. CoreOS is built from the ground up for Docker, so while I have zero information for like the kernel and like the differences between the CoreOS kernel and like a normal Linux kernel, I'm just going to assume that it's lighter and more efficient for running containers. I have no way to prove that right now. We're going to go off the next thing about sole assumptions. Systemd. How many people here knows what Systemd is? Right, so that's the new like init management things. You start services, you stop services. Cool thing with CoreOS, and you can do this in everything else too. But CoreOS, like by default, is like, yo, if you want to start a service that's in Docker, you can Dockerize your service and start on the Systemd. So you can be like, yo.
What's interesting about this though is Amazon Linux doesn't actually support Systemd yet.
Really?
Yeah, so when you put AWS up there, like you can automate AWS with Systemd, but AWS Amazon Linux for EC2 doesn't support Systemd.
Neat. So, also going back to the etcd thing for the key value store. So you could be like, yo, Docker containers, if things are getting a little too high as far as like load goes, I want you to do this crazy integration with an AWS API key, so you can be like AWS key equals this in the key value store, spin up more Docker containers, so you can contain your containers in CoreOS. We're not done yet. Fleet. So, this is a fleet. So fleet is the cluster manager and schedule that controls service creation at the CoreOS cluster level. So now you're like, okay, we have, yes, exactly. So you have these Docker containers that are running on CoreOS, multiple instances of CoreOS, but you have this one head CoreOS node that then controls the CoreOSs that controls the Dockers. We're all good there? So one thing that I didn't mention earlier is that there's actually no, this is exactly where I wanted to be. So fleets is like Systemd for the cluster. You can be like, I want you to start the services on this node, stop the services on this node, etc., etc. Services being Docker containers, because everything's. So if you can see up here, you just specify what your endpoint is, also the cluster head. You can do something like list machines, and then it'll be like, yo, here are the machines, part of your Docker cluster, part of your CoreOS cluster. And you can manage them as you see fit. Honestly, don't really know if this is the way to go with CoreOS, because as we were saying earlier, there's no package manager. You're really limited. If you are just like, I'm a microservices shop, I'm going to run this like really small Docker container that offers this like one really particular web application or service, maybe that's the way to go. But more than likely, you're going to be walking into an infrastructure that already has Linux in some way, shape, or form, right? You're going to have your Red Hat, your Debian, Gentoo, whatever you're running. You install Docker on there, you expose it via the Docker Compose we were talking earlier, and then you can just connect to that and do whatever you want while still offering the same services that you were on that Linux container. Now, this you would think is enough, right, to like handle these containers? No. There are at least 3 other ones that I can name right now. There's this thing called Rocket, which is specifically for CoreOS, which is also written in Go, which is just another fucking way to manage CoreOS containers that manage your Docker containers, which manage your applications. There's this other thing that I know I'm going to pronounce wrong. It's called Kubernetes. It's a nice web interface that manages. What was it? Kubernetes. That. Thank you. So that's just another way to graphically, or that actually has like a really nice web UI to manage containers. You can do it with other things other than Docker, but to manage Docker containers or to manage CoreOS images that then manage everything else. So TLDR, there's a shit ton of ways to skin the cat that is Docker and containerization. It really is going to be depending on what your current infrastructure is and what you want to play around with to find what's best for you. But going back to that Windows question that you had earlier, not like a lot of these are like super suited for like the Windows environment. Like the CoreOS, right? That's like from the ground up. Like we're just gonna run Docker containers on here. If you had some kind of Linux environment, I would probably say go the Docker Compose route. But as far as like running IIS or like any like Windows applications in a containerized environment, I don't know. I've never had experience doing that.
I don't think you can because of licensing.
So what's the most kind of normal route?
Most normal route I would probably say is you're going to run Docker with Docker Compose and then just connect to it like almost like you would like SSH to like a Linux host and be like, yeah, well, start this container, stop this container. CoreOS is cool because you can do like with the systemd you can start and shut off services and which are actually Docker containers. It's a pretty neat thing to play around with. It's gaining maturity. But I don't think it's quite ready for whatever, like you like I said before, you can do it in a bunch of different ways. I don't see a real reason why not to just run Linux, whatever Linux variant you want, and then just run Docker and Docker Compose on top of that. Okay, and with that, I'm going to pass it off to the second part of our DevOps talk. Let's give it up for Sean. Woo!
So, I've seen a couple of blogs on Docker networking. Do you have any idea what that is about and any use case about how Docker could help networking?
Like, when you say help networking.
Or it's a use case for networking.
What do you want to do?
Like Docker router? Like what?
No. So I'm not sure. I mean, after you talked about CoreOS, I was thinking it could be something about networking. But I'll be sure to post that on NextHop Facebook page.
Okay.
And you can look it up and see what that is.
Well, the networking component is literally just one shared network between all the Docker VMs.
You have
It's a
to,
virtual network.
when you run the Docker, like when you run whatever Docker container, like Jared danked them, like you would have to choose to expose the ports while you're running that. Like by default, it's not just like open to the world, it's contained to that instance.
Right.
But all the other Docker containers can see each other. But if you want
Yes.
if you want to expose it outside of that, then you need to make an explicit declaration.
In a particular port?
Yes.
Yep. Think of it like NAT mode and VMware.
So if I'm running a web server container on CoreOS box, I need to expose the web server port on CoreOS. So I would connect to that port on CoreOS, which would then forward it internally to the container's port B.
Right, so could multiple CoreOSs interact with each other?
Mhm.
That
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where your like fleet and stuff like that's gonna come in handy. Yeah. There are like a lot of books on just CoreOS like networking for like when you're doing crazy cluster deployments. I have no experience with that kind of stuff though, unfortunately.
Can we go to the next one?
Yeah, just did. Yeah.
Hi, so my name's Sean. Fourth year here last semester.
Woo!
Yeah.
Ooh, stay
Finally.
longer.
Ah, no thanks. Originally I was going to be talking about high availability and building for the cloud, hence I was talking with Jared on like Docker shit, but then I had 3 midterms this week, so I changed my topic.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, so today I'm going to be talking about terraforming a path for your DevOps train to enlightenment. If you haven't figured that out yet, that is a train made up of DevOps shit. Yeah.
Did you make that?
Oh, I did. I learned GIMP. Took me like a half
Oh
hour.
wow, I see it now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You can just stop now.
I see lots of midterms.
Right?
That's like way better than any IT school website.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, so before I talk today, I'm going to answer one question. So DevOps has been thrown around a lot as like a cool buzzword term, but I haven't had any great definitions. So like Sunday night, I read this awesome article, the 51 best DevOps tools ever. So that allowed me to come up with this great definition for you guys. So basically, DevOps is about creating automation tools, so then you can use that free time gain to create more automation tools to automate things you never knew you needed automated, which is great, really. If you read that article, you'll understand. And as we've seen with Docker, there's like 10 million tools to do all the same shit. Yeah, welcome to DevOps. But the nice way to say it is, you can automate the easy stuff so you can focus on the hard stuff, which is great. There's some memes for you, Jesse, because you complain.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So.
Why is Netflix?
What?
Why is Netflix on the thing?
Dude, I don't know, because they use a bunch of DevOps shit now. They moved all their shit to AWS.
Okay.
They do stuff.
They release a lot of really cool tools.
Yeah.
You release some hot tools.
Yep.
One of the streets that they're about to move away from AWS to custom. AWS
That's shitty because they spent like 8 years moving there.
Yeah,
They
so
cost too much.
yeah, they're thinking about like hosting their own AWS.
Holy shit, they worked on this for 3-4 years. And now
Yeah,
it's
it's been like 8.
And it's expensive, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can do it yourself cheaper,
Oh,
Netflix
that's
can.
the first
It's all sale.
So a little backstory into how I found this tool. So back in December, myself and my friend Ben got a grant from Amazon to do cool shit in AWS, basically. So we have a bunch of boxes in AWS, and if you ever manage infrastructure, even small-scale infrastructure, it takes a lot of maintenance and work put into it. And we constantly are changing the layout and adding and removing boxes. And this creates a lot of downtime and a lot of work for us. And since this is like an independent side project, we like to spend our time on it doing cool shit rather than AWS maintenance, because that's really boring. So we have taken a ride on the DevOps train to enlightenment.
Do you do any not cool shit with this?
Any not cool shit with it?
Not cool shit, like just not something you don't say no.
Infringe on human rights?
Yeah.
No, that's not cool. That's an example of something I don't do.
So that'd be something that would be not cool shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
For the street.
So a little information on cool shit that we use to help us be able to do more cool stuff. We use SaltStack for configuration management. Woo! Woo! So much better than Puppet and Chef. Those are terrible. Sorry if you guys have used those. We use Nagios, and we're slowly rolling out AWS CloudWatch to do monitoring and stuff like that. We're using Splunk at the moment, but I want to move to Elk because Splunk is being a pain in my
Why
ass.
do you guys use Nagios instead of Zabbix? You know, that's the new hotness.
Oh, is it really? Actually, I heard the new thing is called, I think it's called Monit or like Watchdog or something crazy like that. Yeah,
It's hard to keep up with your kids, isn't it?
Dude, you read that article, 51 Tools for DevOps Engineers, you'll know all the cool things.
That article was supposed to be your
Check
Sean,
out-
check out, check out OpsView.
OpsView?
We're gonna
yeah,
get to
yeah.
We're gonna get to that.
I just
Oh, you guys are
Zabbix
gonna talk
on,
about that?
server I'm making, I usually use, and
Yeah.
someone goes, what is Zabbix?
sent me
And
your
I'm using Nagios, he goes, I don't even care. I don't even care.
Yeah. Zabbix I did not enjoy playing with. So we're using Splunk, we're going to move to Elk because Splunk is being a pain in the butt. We're using OSEC and Google Gur. I don't know too much about Google Gur because their documentation is scarce. That's more of a Ben thing. We're using GitLab for the tools we're developing, and then we're using this thing called the Modern Cutting Networks, which is kind of really what inspired all of us, or all this tool shit I'm going to be talking about today. I'm swearing a lot on your stream.
We're counting.
Cool. So, the new tool we're using is called Terraform. It's super cool, kind of. Oh, cool. Alright, so Terraform, you can do no work ever. You can do full stack deployments with cool stuff and have fun. Yeah. So, Terraform basically allows you to deploy hardware, so whether it be EC2 instances, S6i VMs, DigitalOcean, stuff like that. So then you can integrate that with, you guys stop, this is ridiculous.
What?
So you can integrate that with stuff like Ansible and SaltStack, and you can just say, alright, I need to deploy a box, and it's going to be a web server, and you just click one button, and it does everything for you, which is great. Another thing that I really like is it allows you to have version control for your infrastructure. So if you blow all your stuff away, you have it all safe, as we're going to see in a bit. And the great thing about Terraform is it's the most DevOpsy open source tool I've ever seen. So basically how Terraform works is it's just a wrapper for API endpoints. So let's say you have the NextHop cloud where success is only a hop away, and you want your yeah.
Be prepared.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay,
I should write that down. Yeah.
By those demands.
Yeah.
Keyboard material right there.
And you want your users to be able to like deploy stuff in your cloud, you would create an API to let them do that, and then you would write a Terraform provider module, which is just a wrapper to use your endpoint with Terraform.
Wrapper for rappers.
Yeah, and you know they win because now they support more stuff and look cool. So as I mentioned, providers. This is a giant list of stuff I took off their website that they apparently support. If you want documentation on how they interact with all these, it's all on their website. They have pretty decent documentation. Yeah, so it's kind of a cool idea. Here's like an example because I don't have a demo. So Terraform works with configuration files that end in .tf. When you run your command, it loads all the Terraform files that are in your current working directory, which is something to note because if you only have like one config file in there, it's going to blow away everything else. So this is where version control comes in a lot. So you can define variables. So as you can see, you know, to interact with your different providers like AWS, DigitalOcean, SSI, you have credentials in your file, and then you define variables. So here we're saying, all right, we want to use this AMI, which is like Ubuntu 14 something in AWS. We want to create a T1 micro, and we want to give it environment name within EC2.
So this would create the EC2 instance, and then I use something probably like Ansible to then like install the software that I wanted.
Yes.
Neat.
Yeah. So this is just, you have like a variable to define, or a file to define all your variables, and then in this other config you have like the provider config, which actually carries out the actions. So you define your provider, and this is how you read in variables from other stuff. You define a resource as something you want to make, so you specify the providers, or what you want to make, so you're making an AWS instance, and you're giving it the name test3, and then you tell it the instance type, which you read from the config file, and you can give it tags, which is like an AWS thing, so you can track all your boxes. So then once you have all your configs laid out, there's 3 commands you type, and I don't know how to do transitions. So Terraform plan will show you what's actually going to happen, whereas apply actually goes ahead and runs it. This is great if you're testing things and are new to Terraform, you don't want to blow everything away. It's pretty nice. Overview is kind of cool, or I guess it's show, not overview. Gives you an overview of what you've done in the past. There's also Terraform graph, which I still don't understand. It creates this really weird graph of like dependencies and everything. So if you want to play with that and teach me, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Do you have to run this as like root or anything like that? Can you just be like, yo, Terraform go?
I don't think you need root.
So
It's based on the API you use, right?
Yeah, I don't think you need root.
So if I stole your Terraform files, I could effectively recreate your
Yeah.
infrastructure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff.
And if you put your own API keys in there, I'm assuming that you can just copy some infrastructure with yours.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you let Git directories open and you add your Terraform configs in there,
amazing.
I
So,
can steal
so
all
what's
that.
a Terraform extension? Is there one?
The .tf file.
Oh, okay. So, like, we wouldn't want to see any of these on, let's say, GitHub then.
Yeah, that'd probably be bad. I mean, they have literally example configs and stuff, but yeah,
Well,
that
no,
would
it'd
be
only
really
be
bad.
bad if they had their keys in there. Otherwise, you could just build someone else's network.
Yeah, well, it's
Like-
also probably not great.
Yeah,
Right?
especially if you're Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want someone
Or
to be able to make.
Anyone
Yeah, okay,
not
okay,
open
I see.
source.
Yeah, that'd be pretty bad.
Talk about recon. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I just have this little copy test infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad time. Right. So, Terraform can also do like configuration management. They have what are called supported provisioners. These are different things that you can have Terraform carry out. So they have this stupid Chef like client that you can install. So if you love Chef, like everyone in DevOps wrongly does, you can have it install Chef right away on deployment. You can copy files. You can run commands on the host you've spun up. You can run commands on like the server that's running the deployments. So this is cool because you can do some weird like dependency stuff and kind of build in logic with that. I haven't played with this too much. I'm kind of new to the tool, but it seems interesting.
They have salt stack as a supported provision?
No, really. I mean,
Huh.
it's going in as a
So
ticket.
maybe Chef is actually better than salt.
No,
No.
it's really
No.
not. No.
Then why do they?
Having used both, it's not.
Chef.
There's terrible bones in the Chef.
Terrible bones.
It is.
Oh, it has such a
For
good
us.
name and like cook.
It does. I mean, it definitely fits the whole DevOps
Yeah,
culture
So
so
much
much better.
overhead, and it is insane.
Yeah. So you can also do like installs with Chef, so you can just run, or not Chef, oh god. With Terraform, you can like run commands. So here we can install Vim. This is considered bad practice. You're supposed to just like install configuration management system. So you could use like Ansible with this really strong, or Salt, and not the other two that we're gonna talk about. I don't know why this is bad practice, but it is. So take it for what it's worth. So in my opinion, this is where Terraform gets all the strength from, is you can basically version control your entire infrastructure. So if you woke up one day and just everything was gone but your Git repositories, you could just say, alright, I don't care, I'm just gonna deploy everything all over again, and it doesn't matter.
I feel like you wouldn't wake up to that. That'd be more like 1 a.m. Everything's gone. Please come here quickly. Fix Netflix.
Well, yeah.
Or if you were sleeping, you'd be woken up to that.
See, exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah. You technically need this cool thing called Atlas, which is their magical stack, which has Terraform and a bunch of other stuff that, of course, costs money, so I haven't played with it. But at the moment, we're just using Git. Atlas sounds really cool. It lets you like visualize everything and collaborate with other team members on infrastructure changes.
HashiCorp, they also make Vega, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
there's a bunch of really cool like integration things within their stack, but I don't have the money, so I'm not paying for it.
We got $5,000.
Yeah, of like beautiful Amazon money that I'm gonna spend to do Amazon things. Yeah. So, yeah.
Big one.
You can just use Git to do version control, which is what we're doing, and a lot of other people that I've read have been doing, and it works pretty well. So we're using Terraform to do a couple things at the moment. We get like elastic IP addresses from Amazon, so they're just like IP addresses you can hot swap in on boxes. So we're using Terraform to rotate that on a schedule that we defined. We have like actual one-click deployments. So through the modern Honey network, it's a web application framework that lets you quote-unquote do one-click deployments. The problem is they have one-liners to install honeypots on your box, which is great, but you have to go ahead and actually spin up the machine. And if you're spinning up 20 new machines, this takes you like an hour to do. So now we have a pretty little button that you can just click, and it's like, okay, I'm going to go and spin up a new box in AWS, and then I'm going to go ahead and deploy your honeypot. I'm going to install Salt and connect to your master. And it's all truly one click now, which is fantastic and saves me a bunch of time. We also have an backup of our infrastructure, which is pretty great. We've had some interesting issues with AWS, just boxes not working anymore. So being able to just deploy it out of code is really nice, so we don't have to spend hours dealing with it again.
And is Terraform's just initial configuration, doesn't like rack up your data and stuff?
No. No, but I mean, if you know you're a good sysadmin or DevOps engineer, yes, you'd have backups, right? Right, you'd think. So maybe you make it.
That's my security lab.
Example A.
Alright, well, that's my talk on Terraform. If you want to go play with it, do that. It's cool. Good luck.
So is Terraform primarily for AWS?
No. So if we go back to the slide from a long time ago, they somehow support all of this stuff. I don't know exactly what you can do with everything, but like I've used it with ESXi to spin up VMs and stuff. It works pretty well. You need like a janky version if you have a self-signed cert on your ESXi box, but you can make it work. Yeah, I know. It's
Anyone who follows the ISO's advice.
Really not trying to be picky, but why is Terraform, so does Terraform support
Dude,
client for
I don't know.
Terraform?
I like copy and paste it.
Terraform containers.
That's why I was asking.
I don't know, man. They had like this giant long list on their website of like, these are all the things we can support with Terraform. So I just
We need to stop it. It's just gotten too much.
Are we in like
It's
Terraform?
just like this like new world order for like all these companies who just get together and push out this stuff.
yeah. When you automate everything, you have more time to build automation tools to do more other stuff you don't need to be done. Yeah.
Singularity comes, guys.
Yeah.
So most config management tools can do the same thing that Terraform can do. What is Terraform doing special?
Version control.
So honestly, there's something from AWS called like Cloud Formation or something Foundation that lets you deploy boxes like this through code, but I haven't found anything else other than that. Maybe something called Heat. I don't know.
So this is OpenStack.
OpenStack, but that's a whole
They are
different
a whole
thing.
mess of shit.
Yeah.
They infrastructure.
The next stop, the next OpenStack.
So infrastructure as code, like this is that right?
Yeah,
Terraform.
yeah. This is like, I want to build from the ground up my infrastructure brand new, define everything through Terraform.
So the config management tools that are currently in the industry cannot do that.
Not that I know of anyone.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah, no. Those do like software stuff, but this is like hardware.
Is there like a paid only version of this that's somehow better, or this is Terraform?
That's what their whole like magical HashiCorp stack
okay.
of Atlas and stuff. They have a bunch of like enterprise features and Atlas itself and a bunch of So it does have that.
Another question? Oh, actually, never mind. No.
Oh, cool. I didn't care.
Alright, thanks, Jared.
So yeah, that's Terraform. That's cool stuff. You want your laptop back?
Pretty cool.
Thank you, Sean and Jared.
Thanks, Sean.
If you want any more pizza, now's a good time. If not, please don't make me go home. Excellent.
Oh my god,
I'd like to thank our 3 viewers.
We concurrent viewers.
Don't do that.
That's when you run plan first and you see like one change
Sure.
and like 300 things.
Sure.
Terraform
Can you
Docker.
send us your presentation?
Yes.
So unfortunate.
I'm so excited to finally learn about this.
By the way,
I was not excited.
God.
That flux just kicked in.
I don't know how many times I just go in the labs and fuck something up. And then don't fix it.
I had a student who was in wireless with me, and they go, "I've been using this lab for like 3 years. I never realized that outlet went over there." And I was just like, "What?"
it probably didn't a year ago because we like seem to redo everything every summer. So.
Yeah.
What's your email?
Yeah,
Are you-
sorry about that.
Are you using a pebble to switch lines?
No.
Oh,
My wrist was just getting sweaty, so I'm taking it off.
Oh, you should do that.
Now we have it
I
recorded.
can show you how to do that, but continue.
I tried it once and it.
Would you use Magic Slide?
I don't remember.
You should use Magic Slide.
Actually, that is one of the things
I
I
can
wrote
run
out.
it getting Docker.
Before I did it, it was just easy. Oh, we have a
That'd be very
Oh, we
good.
won't get like
So dumb.
It's like, okay. No, I had the question of like, shit, let's do that. They don't question that.
I'm a sandwich.
Just
I'm
gotta
gonna
do
eat
it.
my
Just gotta do it.
sandwich as I'm eating the sandwich.
Okay. Okay.
Shut the fuck, Bruce.
Go.
Your time's over.
Hi Bruce, we're listening.
Oh, I'm just standing here. Okay.
Woo!
So yes, I'm representing the IST Labs Infrastructure because
Wow.
I will fail you.
I'll let Bruce do that. Susie, you watch your shit. I'm sorry.
So I chose to present on this because I feel like learning something new, like these shoe people.
You're a Bernie supporter?
Oh.
It's a Nathan. It's a Nathan thing.
Can we?
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not time to debate.
Okay. Yes.
First time voter.
About me in the professional sense, I started working in the labs my freshman year, back when we were in the SSA department, and we were switching to semesters and merging departments and getting rid of CSEC, ISF. And
Break up was hard.
it was very bloody. And now we're IST. I don't like that logo.
Why are there 3 different colors? I guess I never asked this, but do they represent anything?
There are 4 different colors actually.
Well, I mean, beyond the core.
I don't know. I think apparently we paid a lot of money for that logo though, from what I've heard.
I believe it.
I
Turn on the
That was
webinar.
I've had a million complaints in the department though. Anyway,
Yeah.
what is with logos tonight?
Yeah, there's no hidden
Because
presence.
here's the colors.
So there's the 4.
Okay.
I think it's synergy.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like,
You
is
need
it
a- you need like a
like
nice
a
network.
I think it's like a holistic kind of like.
I don't know what's
There's a lot of different things. Change the slide.
Shut up. Yes. So
You're triggering everyone. Keep going.
I started as a lab assistant. Now I'm the.
HBIC.
I went from like imaging team to server team to sysadmin team lead to now I'm just senior lab technician. I don't know. My role's very fuzzy. I do a lot of things. The labs are my babies. So we have, I counted 12.5 labs. Because usability is like 2 tiny rooms with 3 computers, and air gap is like I don't really know what jurisdiction that falls into anymore.
See, technically the security lab and the air gap lab still fall under CSEC, but it depends who you ask.
Okay, so the security lab, yes, is CSEX, but it's on our network with our infrastructure, so
Yeah.
that's why
that's why I say it depends.
there's between 10 and 15 labs we operate. I'm not sure.
Who are the sysadmins for security lab and air gap lab?
So this
It's actually this
Depends who you ask.
it depends who you ask.
So
If you were to ask me, I would say Bruce. But if you were to ask Bruce, he'd probably say me.
So this is one like we don't think I'll wait till the end.
I would I would say the managers of the labs are Bruce and Tyler, but that's a whole different story.
Triggered. On camera.
We should have a wedding.
Oh shoot. Nope.
Got him.
Okay. Oh, and then also Cage and the data center are our other 2 like physical areas that we maintain. So each room gets its own /24 network. For example, there's NetLab. They all are like so it's like 10.130.100, 10.120.100, etc. Except syslab, it gets a /23 because people run tons of VMs in there, and we ran out of space once, and that was not a good time. So, yeah.
What? Why did you make it a /23? Is there any like
Any more hosts?
I mean, like, why didn't you just make it like a /16?
Is that because we
65,000. That's a lot.
Okay,
I'm 35.
okay. Well, syslab's a mess because there's also like 10.151. Blah 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 for all the VLANs, and then those new servers just put in are 10.150.200. So syslab has all kinds of extra special exceptions. Yes.
That's a good answer.
Yes, but in general, that's that. All of our servers are on 10.200, and our backbone, aka like our point-to-point links and our management network, is 10.255.
Those gig links, 10 gig links?
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
As for externally, we started with just 2 IP addresses. We have 2 firewalls, 1 for each. But people started doing like MNAP scans of like RT's network, and I tested so it would like block the entire floor.
Who would never?
I don't know
that
anyone in
sounds,
this room.
Maybe like when we added SecLab into our network.
Yeah.
knowing where those traps are would be like really not useful.
Okay. Anyways, so now each room is behind its own NAT IP address. So if somebody scans for security lab, only security lab gets taken offline.
That was a really specific lab you chose.
The other reason we did that was because professors wanted to lock down my courses quizzes per room. Now they can do that. So before you could just like, I mean, I don't know, like if I had a class in large lab, I'm not gonna like go sit in open lab.
Stagpole servers? I think
Wait,
Stagpole
why would you
is
lock
that.
down my courses? Could you explain that just a little bit?
You can do
Yeah,
it
but
by
like,
per
so they
IP.
have to like walk into that room to do it?
So
Yeah.
they can't cheat on the test and use
But they can
Google.
use the internet
Just
still.
Stagpole is.
Yeah, but then
Well,
you're in the
Stack-
same room.
Stackpole does it for like an attendance quiz. Like you have to be in the room to like,
Bad man.
it's.
Because the professor walks around and makes sure he's not too high.
This
Yeah.
is so
And it's
dumb.
impossible to cheat when that happens.
Why
We all
can't you
know
just
this.
print out
Keep
paper?
one hand here.
Save everybody a lot of work.
It's like
Environmental.
to
no.
make
Yeah.
it's like to make you feel like I don't know. It makes the professors feel better that there's less cheating going on. I guess.
Well, then you
It's
can't
just
do it at
like-
home.
It's the most like
I
fruitless
get-
thing to use like my
Stagpole
course's
is
anti-cheating stuff ever. We had a conversation today. They were
But
like,
that's
hey,
nice.
you should just use the anti-cheating stuff. You don't have to worry about online people cheating. And I was like, these are security students. They're networking students. They're not idiots. They know how to bypass this
I guess
crap.
it's only really preventing me talking like verbally out loud to somebody because the press is going to hear that now in the room.
Yeah, so you're gonna open up and
Facebook Messenger.
maybe Facebook Messenger
Yeah.
or AIM.
That's really the only thing I really like
Hey,
super,
yeah.
unless you have like a bunch of like TAs. Okay, this is irrelevant.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm just,
Okay, for networking, we use OSPF. Everything's in just one area 0 because
my courses even has a chat function built in. Wait, I'm not done yet. You can literally chat with my courses for the. Okay, now I'm done. I apologize.
yes. Okay. So yes, we put everything in one giant. Well, not really a giant OSPF area. We don't really have that many routers. We don't have any routers. So, I mean, physically. Each lab has a gateway. It's a .254 for whatever subnet on that physical layer 3 switch is connected to. Then all of our switches have point-to-point links between them. As for our topology, we can look at OffSU now. No. So if you haven't heard of OffSU, it's just Nagios with
Oh,
a
yeah.
better web interface.
Oh,
It's all
yeah.
Nagios in the background.
It's
So, yes. So
Why don't you use Xanax?
This looks nice.
Wow. No, because
Xanax
sucks.
I'm kidding, guys.
Bootstrap? They use Bootstrap for this?
I don't know.
Do I have access to this?
Wow,
Maybe.
this looks a lot better than mine.
Technically,
Here
every-
you go. Holy crap.
Is that a threat or is it?
No wonder there's many on these. The documentation is crap.
Super.
What's the new version? It's
Who's this
right
auto
here.
generated?
Actually,
Is auto generated?
No.
It's losing my shit.
So I paint.
It's auto that just makes these.
I painstakingly made this nice Visio diagram.
It's fucking sweet.
Well, between Jimmy and I, Jimmy likes to use the Borg logo for ITS.
Yeah.
You guys know Star Trek, so yes, because he hates ITS. So,
You need ITS. Don't put that in anyone's mind. You need ITS to go to mine.
yeah. So, just for fun here, every little link and device has a service check,
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
which OffSU like 2 days ago deleted all of these overnight. And I had to put them back in, so it's a little glitchy apparently.
If you click on it, can you see the packets? Yeah, what kind of packets is it?
Apparently not.
Oh.
That'd be awesome. I have no
Wire sharing interface. What's happening here?
Yeah. So okay. So yeah. Okay. Here's ITS, aka Internet. We have our 2 firewalls, which connects to our main switch called Warp Core.
Let's see what those ACLs look like, huh?
No.
Or the pantry on that thing?
And this little link right here is just for the firewalls to sync with each other and see if they're still online. They're not load balancing, they're failover. So if one goes offline, the other one will kick in.
Okay, so if one goes offline because of load, you're immediately going to crash the second one, is what you're saying.
Yes, but also these are only 1 gig links because ITS refused to port channel with us. So
Hey, don't look at me. I didn't have anything to do about that, but I do have a situation which might destroy that.
yes, okay. So Warp Core is a 6506 switch, layer 3. All of our servers are connected to it. There's a couple more servers than shown here, but those are all our hypervisors. With 4 gig links between them. All of our switches have 4 gig links between them. It's exciting. We have 3 main switches: Syscore, which is for like the networking labs there; DB Core for database labs; and Mac Open Core for one of the Mac labs, Open Lab, and Security Lab. And then we have one tiny little switch because the one lab runs to the third floor closet.
So we were having this conversation earlier, and I can't see what exactly each type of switch is, but the backplane on these switches or core switches is what?
I don't know. I forget.
We were hoping 40, but judging based on the pictures, I'm gonna guess like maybe a gig backplane.
No, it's higher than I don't know what it is.
What?
I don't know what it is. It's higher than gig.
It's like probably
They're the E chassis, so they're like enhanced backplanes.
yeah, like enhanced for like 99.
That really just means they use more power. Really, that's what I figured out.
Just use 210 line.
Yeah, and then you can see all the labs connected here. Ignore grad lab because Wick took it over. So I don't know why it's green because it doesn't exist anymore. But it's down. Okay.
Good tool.
Well, it's okay because it's admin down, which means it's like supposed to be down. So it's saying it's okay.
So if it was
I was about to say, like,
then it was
This
still
is
broken.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
fire.
down.
Should probably check second lab.
So there's a question here. Those labs to those core switches, my understanding is those are gig links. Is that correct? From the whole lab?
Yes, every computer has a big link to the switch, and that has 4 gigs between these two.
And those 4 gig links come from 4 independent 1 gig links?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like you have no good intents with these questions.
I actually have really good intents for these questions, but I've always
One
just
4 gig
recently
now.
noticed.
It's a weird thing.
What?
Are they distributed or is it all through one truck?
They're actually 4 different cables.
There's 4.
They're all one essential. You
Yes.
just cut up as you go through all 4.
Like OBH is
Yes, like it already costs a lot of money for a contractor to come and like run a cable between 2 floors, so we
It
didn't have
also
to do.
takes literally forever. Yeah, that is another thing. It takes like 7 weeks for them to do that.
Yeah, and the cable between SysLab and the data center upstairs is like exactly 300 and X feet, whatever like the limit is. So that's cool because apparently fiber was too expensive.
And now they're going to regret that when I say like, hey, we need to upgrade the fiber. Never get upgrade the fiber.
Even the labs like ran fiber like 5 years ago, but then they're like, we can't test fiber, so we're gonna switch everything back to copper.
You know what we should do? Instead of like upgrading to the logical thing, which is fiber, Cat 6A. That has like a 320 foot max.
Yes.
And it can run at 10 gigabits per second if you're like super lucky. Yeah. 10 gig.
There's like point-to-point microwave between the floors.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
Pretty rad.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
If you value children, please do not stand in line.
Are there any questions about this?
Well, not about the network, but the line, you know.
Okay, well, go.
In SysLab, there's two racks of turned off servers. What the hell are they used for?
They've been turned on this week. They're for the virtualization class. So each like team gets a server where they install ESX and do stuff. That was not what they're bought for. They're bought for a database class, which
So you just run ESX inside ESX.
they need a box to do that on in the first place. And it's like a semester long project. So yes.
What?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Why?
They just released the new pair of virtual drives that allows you to
Jared.
emulate.
So,
What does iCloud workflow that is
Yeah, no, never mind.
I didn't agree with
I would like to answer a question that for some reason I thought you were going to ask. Yes, if warp core goes down, that's a huge point of failure. I have redundant power supplies, redundant supervisors, and every server and other switch connects to one of 4 different blades. So we cannot operate on one blade, one supervisor, one power supply. So a lot of things would have, like the room would have to catch on fire for that to actually like break. But
or like one system.
or actually, fun story, I plugged a console cable into our UPS once and the whole rack turned off. So, while like every lab has last minute.
How long will it cost you?
I apparently shorted out the UPS. I don't know.
And then you're like, hey, Julius, can you come over here? Stand right here.
It was called, I was like calling Jimmy as I'm running around the data center trying to find where I put the cable in. Anyways,
So everything's at UPS?
So what's a power switch, huh?
oh, yeah, the power is the main point of it. Well, the UPS,
Is it
generators?
e-power or just regular power?
what?
E-power or regular power?
What's e-power?
Facilities has always on UPS back emergency power.
I don't believe so.
I don't think.
The actual reason, if I understand that that's true, is because like RIT is like a natural disaster area zone, so they have to have like some special cleaning.
I'm
power.
sure the ITS data center is probably on that, but I don't think the golf. If the whole power's out in the university, I don't think.
No, they have e-power, which is.
I can assure you that everything in the CSEC department is not on that.
Daisy chain dogs.
But as for all systems, every system in the golf solid data center for the most part supports lab systems. So if the power's out, all the computers are going to be off. So it's not really a point to keep them up.
I guess that makes sense.
But I
$1 million for systems.
fun fact, no, the UPS is configured though. I have on one of the servers like an agent running, and if the UPS is on like battery power for more than 5 minutes, it goes through and like, turns off all the VMs and everything. Powers off servers.
So, what's the coolant situation we got going on here? Sounds like that warp core is a little hot.
It's pretty cool over there.
Yeah, it's.
Nothing special.
No, there's a big air conditioner in the room.
Oh, I
It's
was
cold.
hoping for like something crazy. Like,
But it's not on most of the year because apparently they use chilled water from the other buildings to like cool
oh,
the
so
room.
this is what I was. Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, every 2 hours, someone from the cave goes up there with a bucket of ice water.
Just jumps in on the corner.
If you walk by like the black hole lab,
It's mineral
they've got like some
Yeah.
really crazy shit
Yeah.
going
On
on.
the weekends, somebody has to go flush the toilet every once in a while to keep the
Yeah.
water going.
Medical lab has half their UPSs out of failover.
That sounds right.
I know. I'm like, I've noticed that. I'm waiting for that to just fail. They'll probably get like $100 million for that whole big discovery they're apparently part of. So
How will we do astronomy research if they don't have?
That's all money.
We just run signal.
That's all. It's all money. That's all the software we do.
Not yet.
yeah. Here's a list of our physical gear, which I kind of went over. In our rack, we have 3 hypervisors, 2 file servers, one of which is for like students to store their stuff. Another one we use for imaging. Mac server to image the Macs. I hate it. I love a Mac personally. It's horrible in enterprise. So, yes, there's all our switches.
Thanks for agreeing, Jerry.
So what are the specs on those servers? The back.
There's the extent.
The 2 file servers. What kind of terabyte is? We talking exabytes, yottabytes, kilobytes?
There's like 12 terabytes free on the imaging one because we have like one Windows image on it and that's it. And for the student one, there's like at the end of each semester, like not a whole lot of space left, which is why I delete it every semester.
Is that Elcars?
So that sounds like you need to upgrade.
Is that Elcars?
No. Elcars is just a web interface to manage AD and the file shares. It doesn't actually, it's just a tool that I built.
Is there a reason why you split the operating systems and the user space?
2 reasons. One, so we can image and people can download files without there being like killing the file server, because our main constraint is the file server. And also Zarek seems to be like was having some like super weird RAID issues last semester, so we stole one from CSEC and made that faster file server, which is actually much faster.
How many times a semester does somebody try to run their VMs off of the file server?
That hasn't happened in like a while, in my
The
knowledge.
IO sucks.
Huh?
The IO sucks.
I know, like
It's
a
way
year
better than it
ago.
was when I started, though.
It used to happen all the time. Like,
Yeah.
every time a class would end, someone would be like, oh, double click, import. And then
Yeah, then we'd go into the room and yell, and then we give them 30 seconds and we'd kill their connection. So.
You should like physically cut the wire and make them recrimp it.
You're gonna learn today.
That would be the last time anyone would
Run your VMs.
be like, okay, unblock everything, run it through, make sure the wiring's tight, and then they'd like dump everything up, plug it in, and it wouldn't work. That would be the best.
Yes. That. Okay. Cool. Fun trivia. We don't pay for. We haven't paid for any of our networking gear. It's all been donated. All that we pay for all the servers because nobody donates good servers. So. Yes.
It's kind of fun trivia.
Yes. I have lots of fun trivia. There's a random picture that I took. That's our rack in the data center.
You should post some of the stuff on Cable Porn. I mean, you can
So, this is our Mac Open Core. Well, I mean, I'm happy with it. It's not perfect, but if you like were to zoom out and look at the rest of the closet, which is all IPS, it's horrible.
Actually, that's a good picture.
But so this is beautiful compared to the rest of the room. I'd like to point out. Yeah. As for the imaging, we have one image between all the labs. It's like 320 gigs because every professor wants their own IDE and everything else. So.
It's so funny. That is so funny you say that.
This is my least favorite thing about working on the 4 years is imaging. I hate it. Professors are super picky. Like, why? They're like, why doesn't this script work to automatically start the SQL service? Can't you just tell your students to go into the services and press
Dude,
start?
professors are the worst.
Or just tell them to type nest start?
You know how hard that is?
How dare we teach
Well,
this?
It is a freshman
do
class.
you know our students? Like,
This
it's
isn't-
not difficult I need to explain to some of them.
But this is like the computing college, I feel like. Anyways, whatever. That's a whole. Okay. Oh, wait, it's just easier to show you. Yeah. So here's all our servers. Yeah.
Subsection, huh?
They're mostly named after Star Trek things
Wonder why?
because I like Star Trek.
Is there Q in Star Trek? Or is that just like someone got bored and named it Q?
What is
Yep,
paper cut?
Q, it's Next Generation. Papercut is print server. So
Oh.
Papercut is super silly. You have this one, like running server 2012, running Papercut engine, and then you have this Windows 7 VM with Office installed, where if you send a Word doc, it goes to the Windows 7 one, opens up Word, converts it to an XPS, and then sends it back to the actual Papercut server.
That is awesome.
That is
Engineering
Yeah,
as
someone
finance.
found that out. They were like,
Just send it to Windows
Who's
7.
in charge of the printing websites?
Why?
Because I want a feature that isn't currently have
What's that?
to print single side.
That is a feature I would like as well, because I was faced with the option of all single side or all double side. There's no in between with Papercut.
Are we limited to how much we can print there?
It's 150 pages per semester.
Per semester?
Yeah.
How do we get more?
You can hang it. I mean, just plug right in.
If there's a limit on if we can only print 150 pages, why is there a limit on printing 10 at a time?
Good question. That's a real question.
That's an excellent question that I
Look at us, supposed to be.
honestly arbitrarily chose that number.
Well, it doesn't, that's why I was trying to do it. But I mean,
Bruce is not a policy wonk.
They don't want someone to print 150 like dicks at one time.
Yeah.
But then that's all you can do, like, you use your own blood job,
Well,
unless you
yeah,
get on the
it's
last
like
day
a-
of school.
Stop, it's
Yeah,
a big
exactly.
user thing, so if you accidentally print some document from those 100 pages, they'll stop it.
Also, it's kind of like if you want to print 150 pages, then like nobody can use the printer for like X number of minutes. So, yeah.
If I printed huge black squares,
That would be awesome.
150 times.
It would cost the same as much as you printed a blank page.
Would it cost anything as paper cut?
Well, to me, yeah.
Well,
but-
no, it costs a page.
I think the toner would be the problem.
So yes, the only solution to printing single side is to literally put a blank page between all of your pages.
I just have people to case print it, and I don't use my paper, my pages.
Scumbag does it.
Wow.
It's a feature that if they would have, I wouldn't have to do this workaround solution.
Or
Yes.
Just ask any of the professors to make your shit, because we don't care.
So yeah, there's our servers.
Whoa, something's
Oh,
down.
failure.
You guys use Link?
Let me talk.
Wait,
We
you
don't
guys-
use Link. I killed that as quickly as I could get Jimmy to agree to Slack,
I was
and
gonna say, this is the enterprise solution I've been waiting for.
now it's Skype for Business. I hate that.
Wait,
Yes.
if you killed
I
it,
just-
shouldn't it be green because it's down?
No, it's the host doesn't
I thought
exist.
you wanted it to be down.
Deleted.
So
Down, it's gone.
yeah, I just didn't. I can't find this Word doc where I made this lovely table, so we're just
No
gonna.
more Uhura.
Uhura.
How do you say it?
Uhura.
Uhura.
Oh, it is. I feel like it'd be more elegant.
I think that sounds correct.
Oh, because it's like you're coughing on Link.
It's like you're puking.
Yeah, that's definitely why that happened.
Oh,
Any questions about the services we run? Is that,
What kind of DB server? I assume Microsoft SQL.
no, it's my signal.
Ah,
You should have print-
do you have to pay for that? Because technically you're not, it's not personal use.
We don't pay for it. I don't know we're supposed to. Huh?
What do we use WSO for?
Updating our Windows servers
Oh, really?
and our two AD bound clients in the cage.
Oh, I was gonna say, I didn't know many of them. Okay.
And that Windows 7 print.
It gets run whenever I remember that we have it. So
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, O'Brien also has Veeam when I also remember to back up our VMs.
Nice.
So, because we don't pay for Veeam, so it doesn't automatically.
You don't?
No.
Isn't that like there's a free trial? It's free?
It's free. Yeah, it's like the same thing, but it just doesn't come with like scheduling. Yeah.
Like, it's free if you steal it from Bitcoin.
No, you can. They just pester you and try and call you, as I found out. So, like, I don't want it. I'm happy with the free version.
I'll just
You
click.
probably could have done the Bill Stack one and been like, where's your Pora? We're a university.
Yeah. You're a CPTC.
Well, we begged OpsU for a free license. They said we'll give you like 10 hosts free. I'm like, that's like less than what.
Who did all
Why
that?
is it paper cuts?
What?
Why is it paper
I explained this already.
cuts?
So the first one is the actual papercut server. The second one is a Windows 7 VM with like Word and other stuff installed, where those like open up the document, save it as an XPS file, and send it back to the papercut server.
Okay, question. What if I'm printing from something that's not Office? Like, what if I'm printing from like, I don't know, like some random program that doesn't exist?
You upload the document.
The option it tells you the options. It's like
Oh, okay.
it's like
I've
RTF.
never used this before, so.
Yeah, it's like Office, PDF, RTF, and XPS.
Alright.
The preferred format is XPS because it doesn't have to convert anything.
Not .x. Like queuing.
Okay. Where's the?
I just tried to, I didn't.
Keep the arrow down and present.
Oh, I don't know why I was like looking on this bar. Okay, that's cool. Okay, I went over that.
What is
Oh, was that all I had? Stands for
Windows Service Update Service.
A Windows Server Update Service? Or something?
Yeah,
Something like
that.
Oh,
It's like a useful information.
That way all the updates go download there when it's updated.
We need better acronyms.
I didn't make it. Okay, any other questions?
I have so many, but like I don't even know where to start. If you could have one improvement, what would it be?
Altiris. That'd be my choice.
Careful what you say on camera.
Yeah, well, Altiris has been okay as a reset.
No, that's not the one.
I don't know, that's a hard question.
Swapper has a question.
Right?
Swapper has a question. She said she has a question.
Something like Altiris for Macs. I think I would suggest.
Yes, I hate Deployment Studio for Macs. Or we just get rid of Macs.
No more Mac Labs. That's also
I mean, I understand.
We need photo.
Design class.
Why do you need this design class in Mac? No one uses Final Cut Pro anymore.
The only reason to have a Mac is for Xcode. That's about it, so you can develop for iOS.
Virtualize it.
Yeah, virtualize it.
That's not legal.
Yes. You have to be on Mac Pro.
That's what I mean.
You get Mac Pros, you put ESXi on it, you virtualize OS.
A bunch of new Mac Pros that just sit up there.
We have,
There's a company that does it.
That's amazing.
as you can see, we have our super awesome like 09 Xers in there. They aren't actually used right now though.
That's
But
provably false that the graphics stack. I mean, they're an OpenGL stack, right? Compared to DirectX, OpenGL.
yes, Jared.
So I go to SysLab sometimes, and I sit down and I just think, where are all the VMs? You guys can think about rolling out some more VMs.
You want more VMs?
You got 5.
Of what?
Can I get like
Just more?
actually
Like,
fix
you
that
can make
as well?
anything you want.
I got a
that's
Debian
the
VM.
problem. I've got it.
Why does Google Chrome take so long to open on the?
I have. This has plagued me to this day. I do not know.
Don't run.
How come the computer's freezing when I plug my
Yeah, I really want to hear Bruce's answer to that question.
Which question? There's a
Google
lot.
Chrome question.
I don't know.
It's
So-
so annoying.
I used to think it was because it like recreates. I see this because it recreates the profile like when you open it for the first time. Because like right before I upload the image, I run CCleaner and like deletes all that stuff. But I tried opening Chrome like right before I upload the image, and it still just recreates.
Tried
the profile.
SSDs. Yeah, why did you guys go for hybrid drives instead of just straight up
I think
SSDs?
What? There's no hybrid drive.
Yeah, in the new HPs, they're hybrids. They're not SSDs.
Are they?
That's true.
That's what Jimmy told me.
I don't think they are.
I think he just ordered it.
I think it may be the new ones
Yeah.
that really just came out that we don't have.
Yeah, the goal was to upgrade SysLab to SSDs over the summer.
Yeah, that's good.
When does this time event?
It's
Huh?
stupid.
Windows 10.
I will be graduated. I do not care.
But it's a free upgrade, Bruce. If you do it now, it's free.
We can snag all the old hardware.
So I'm in the lab sometimes, and I can't help but thinking, in flu season, is anyone wiping down stuff?
Yeah, there's actually a rigorous cleaning schedule which you can ask Swagger about.
Swine.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, daily there is a.
That's what you have to do.
There's a light cleaning daily and a heavy cleaning weekly.
Yeah, until you come in there with food and start eating.
I don't eat in that lab.
But we have to clean we are cleaning those labs.
What?
So that's why I called them under IST, because we clean them for some reason. I hope this recording does not go anywhere.
Except on the
Yes, Luke.
I have 2 questions. The first one is, how come when I plug my headphones into the headphone jack, the computer literally dies?
Are you talking about SysLab?
In SysLab.
The SysLab motherboards are super glitchy, sketchy.
Glitchy, sketchy? Did you get them from the dollar?
That is what the Gigabyte website says. These motherboards are super glitchy,
Right.
sketchy.
Now, second question
not too many
is, did you get this presentation approved like another unnamed company or not? Last night, next time?
I may or may not have a meeting tomorrow morning. We'll see.
That is amazing.
I don't think I'll actually have a meeting.
Bruce, you should have a slide saying, email your suggestions to Jimmy. Instead of.
Email all the
Post it on the
places.
site. Post it on the site.
It's all right.
We shouldn't record right now.
Cut it.
Cut the
Got
feed.
it.
Cut the stream.
Take the scissors to it.
Okay. Yes, Jared.
So I go to the lab sometimes.
Really?
And speaking of like bloated stuff on there, like we were talking before, I have to ask, who needed the latest version of Visual Studio?
So, I mean, between every semester, we /I just upgrades every program to the latest, unless it costs money to upgrade.
You're complaining about a bloated
I would-
program, and you actually need to install this on our computers.
But I would like it took about 2.5 hours to install the Visual Studio patch. I'm not sure what's going on, but that was a painful.
Can you tell me why the default image viewer is Adobe Fireworks?
I messed up.
Can you fix that?
Like, does Adobe Fireworks still exist?
Yes.
I don't know why, but yes,
Okay, that's not annoying. Well, that's a good point, because that shit would annoy the
It's
fuck out of me.
annoying.
it's very annoying.
Why are we still using OmniP?
I love OmniPeak, man. All those weird drivers you have.
That-
All the graphs.
Well, Windows,
Yes.
everything about
Because-
Windows Vista,
but the
when
graph-
you still had the IS6,
But it
with,
does-
like, the PCAP, it doesn't suck.
But there's no graphs. There's no pretty graphs.
It's hard pass.
And use
Also,
Windows,
I don't understand why.
It's
And
because I'm hard pass.
we're using like 10-year-old version of OmniPeak because that's like the last time they gave us a free license since they got bought. So
I'm like, so I have to explain to every wireless customer, like, no, you can't capture like wireless on Windows. And I'm like, that's like provably not true.
Yeah.
It's been provably not true since Windows XP. Like, what
Jared, have you
are
been to our labs recently?
This is not about that. So, back on the quarter system, we used to have those wireless carts.
Yeah.
What happened to them?
Gone.
Well, all that equipment was from the 80s when wireless was first invented. So.
All those laptops.
That's also provably Ball's 97 for 802.11. And if anyone's in the wireless class here, 802.11a, not the first standard for 802.11. 802.11 is their standard for 802.11. I triggered so many people with that question. It was fantastic.
Does anybody know we can just find a little config port on here? I'm really curious.
Wait, I have a question. Does NextHop have stickers?
We do. Not with me.
Does the lab support those projectors that are in the room?
Yes.
Can you fix those?
What projector? Oh, you mean like Project Lab?
All of the labs.
The one that needs
All
a
of
new
the labs
bulb
have
and you
one on
refuse
there.
to
Well,
replace.
SysLab and NetLab don't have projectors.
That's actually an improvement on the projector that's in AirGap.
It's like a group therapy session.
That project needs a new bulb.
Yeah.
But we have
Got no problem.
I can
That's
confirm.
so much.
I can confirm.
These are not shitty.
I can confirm that there is a bid